Begin in silence, then speak slowly with presence. There comes a moment in life when you must stop and listen not to the voices outside, but to the one you've been avoiding within. You feel it, don't you? That quiet discomfort, that gnawing truth that somewhere along the way you've fallen asleep not in your bed, but in your being. The first step is not to move forward. The first step is to wake up. Look around you, look within you. This is your life. You are not a spectator in someone else's play. You are the writer, the actor, and the director. But if your days look the same, if your energy is drained, if your dreams feel far away, then it is time to rise, time to rebuild, not just parts of your life, but the foundation. And foundations are not rebuilt with noise. They're rebuilt in silence, in patience, in discipline. Stop searching for motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is eternal. Do what must be done even when you don't feel like it. That is how you earn your life back. Pain will visit you. Let it. Sit with it. Ask it what it came to teach. Because pain, when listened to, becomes direction. It becomes purpose. People may not understand your change. Let them stay confused. You are not living for their applause. You are living to align with the truth within you. Comfort will try to seduce you again, but remember, comfort is not peace, it is quiet decay. Every single day you have a choice to remain as you are, or to rise. Rebuilding is not a one-time act, it is a ritual, a breath by breath, choice by choice return to yourself. So ask yourself, who am I becoming? What am I choosing? Am I living by design? Or by default? The world may offer you many distractions, but your soul only wants one thing: truth. So be still, be clear, be ruthless with excuses, be gentle with yourself, and build, slowly, steadily, consciously. You are not too far gone, you are not too late, you are not broken beyond repair. You are the sculptor and the stone, so wake up and rebuild your life. Awareness is where it all begins. Before you can move forward, before any real transformation can occur, you must first stop and see clearly where you are. Not where you tell yourself you are, not where others assume you are, but where you truly stand in this moment. This kind of awareness isn't about blame or shame. It's about honesty. It's about having the courage to observe your thoughts, your actions, your patterns, and your life without filters, without distraction. Most people don't live with this kind of clarity. They repeat the same days, the same habits, the same emotional reactions, all while hoping for a different outcome. They feel something is off, but instead of pausing to examine it, they cover it with noise, scrolling, numbing, rushing. They confuse motion for progress. They mistake distraction for peace. But nothing changes until you become still enough to notice what you've become. This awareness can be uncomfortable. It often brings things into the light that you'd rather keep hidden. You may realize you've been drifting, compromising your values, betraying your own standards just to stay comfortable. You may see that the story you've been telling yourself, the one where you're stuck because of others or because of circumstances, is only partially true. And that partial truth has been your cage. But this discomfort is a necessary awakening. It's not the enemy, it's the beginning of truth. Because when you see clearly, even if what you see is painful, you are no longer asleep. You are no longer running blind. You are no longer powerless. This clarity gives you a choice to continue as you are or to begin again, intentionally, deliberately, and even that moment of seeing, of waking up to your reality, is powerful. Because to recognize yourself, to truly recognize yourself without distortion, is to begin the journey of rebuilding. Comfort is a strange thing. It whispers safety, promises ease, and convinces you that stillness is peace. It surrounds you with the familiar, your routines, your habits, your surroundings, and slowly, without much noise, it builds a space that feels warm, predictable, and secure. But if you stay there too long, you start to feel it. The walls begin to close in. The space that once felt like a refuge begins to feel like a cage. There is a point where what's comfortable is no longer what's right. You might wake up and realize that your routine no longer inspires you, that your job, your habits, even your relationships have become stagnant. You're not challenged, you're not evolving, you're just maintaining, surviving, and yet you hesitate to change because change brings friction. It brings uncertainty. It asks you to leave the known and walk into something unshaped, something you don't fully control. But that's the trap. Comfort feeds off fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. So it convinces you to stay still. It tells you, why take the risk? Why leave what you know? Things aren't that bad, are they? And that's how the cage is built. Not with bars or locks, but with thoughts like asterisk. I'll wait a bit longer. Asterisk or asterisk. Maybe next time. Asterisk or asterisk. At least it's familiar. Asterisk, the familiar becomes your identity. You start defining yourself by your limitations. You say, this is just who I am, or I've always done it this way. You wrap your routines around you like armor, mistaking consistency for purpose. You might even start resenting the very things that keep you comfortable, but you don't leave them because discomfort feels like danger. The problem is, growth never comes from comfort. Challenge is what expands you. Tension is what awakens potential. Think of a seed. It must break open to grow. Think of muscles. They must tear to become stronger. Think of the mind. It must be questioned to gain clarity. There is no evolution without disruption. But when you live in the cage of comfort, you begin to shrink from life. You avoid risk. You postpone decisions. You silence the voice inside you that says, asterisk, there's more than this. Asterisk, that voice doesn't speak loudly. It's a whisper, easily drowned out by distraction, but it doesn't go away. It waits for moments of silence. It speaks in the pause between your routines. It speaks in the restlessness you feel when everything around you seems fine, but something deep inside tells you that you're not truly living. Comfort dulls your instincts. It makes you second, guess your dreams. It turns sharp edges into soft corners. You stop asking questions like, what am I capable of? Or what else is possible? Instead, you ask, will this be easy? Or will people approve? And in that shift, something powerful is lost. The hunger, the fire, the rawness that comes from stepping outside the known and allowing yourself to be fully alive. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's uncertain. You weren't made to stay where it's easy. Nothing in nature thrives without challenge. Trees grow stronger in storms. Rivers cut through rock with persistence. Animals evolve through pressure and necessity. Yet we as humans often seek to avoid difficulty. We seek control, comfort, and certainty, but in doing so, we create environments that are too soft for our spirit, too predictable for our potential. There is a deep cost to living in comfort. You may not notice it immediately. But over time it takes a toll. You lose vitality, you lose direction, you become reactive instead of proactive. You start to settle, not just in your circumstances, but in your mindset. You stop stretching. You stop risking, you stop dreaming out loud, and the saddest part is you may look back one day and realize you were capable of so much more, but you traded it for convenience. Comfort tells you you're safe, but safety without growth is stagnation. It is the slow erosion of your edge. It is a gentle numbing of your will. You begin to fear discomfort more than you fear regret, and that is when the cage becomes real, not just outside you, but within you. And still you stay, because comfort is patient. It doesn't rush. It waits for you to forget what you once wanted. It waits for you to become so used to smallness that the idea of expansion feels like a threat. It makes you defend the very things that are holding you back. It makes you call the cage a home. Responsibility and freedom may seem like opposites at first glance. Most people view responsibility as a burden, something heavy, something that limits their choices. Freedom, on the other hand, is imagined as light, open, without restrictions, but in truth the two are not separate, they are inseparable. One flows from the other. You cannot have real freedom without responsibility. And until you understand this, you will always feel like your life is being controlled by something or someone else. When you accept full responsibility for your life, something shifts. You stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. You realize that no matter where you come from, no matter what happened to you, no matter what others did or didn't do, this life, right here, belongs to you. It's not about denying the impact of your past. It's about refusing to let it define your future. People often say they want freedom, freedom from stress, from failure, from limitation. But what they really want is the power to choose. The power to move, to act, to create something different. That power only becomes available when you stop handing it away. Every time you say, I can't because of them, or it's not fair, or that's just the way it is, you hand over your authority. You place your life in someone else's hands, and in doing so, you remain stuck. Responsibility doesn't mean controlling everything. You can't control what others do. You can't control external events. But you can always control your response. You can choose your attitude, your words, your actions. You can choose what you pursue and what you let go of. That is your domain. That is your power. And the more you take ownership of that space, the freer you become. It's easier to blame others. It's more convenient to point to circumstances. It feels safer to say, this is just how I am. But each time you do, you reinforce the story that you are powerless, that you are at the mercy of the world, that your happiness, your success, your peace depend on things outside of you aligning just right. That belief will keep you in chains, even if everything around you looks normal. True responsibility is not about perfection. It's not about getting everything right. It's about recognizing that the way your life unfolds from this moment forward is largely shaped by the choices you make, how you spend your time, who you listen to, what you tolerate, what you chase. It's about being brutally honest with yourself, not to judge or punish, but to gain clarity and regain control. There's a kind of quiet strength that comes when you stop running from responsibility. You begin to see problems not as barriers but as teachers. Setbacks become feedback. Failure becomes information. You no longer waste energy wishing things were different. Instead, you use that energy to make things different. This mindset doesn't make life easier, but it does make it yours. When you choose responsibility, you no longer need to pretend. You don't need to convince others of anything. You're not waiting to be rescued. You're not looking for someone to hand you a better life. You understand that no one is coming to save you, and that's not a reason for despair. It's a reason to rise. Taking responsibility means holding the mirror to your own life and saying, asterisk, if this is not what I want, then what am I doing about it? Asterisk, that question alone can wake you up. It removes all the noise. It removes the illusion that life just happens to you, because it doesn't. Life responds, life reflects, life gives back what you put in, and once you accept that, you are free, not because everything becomes easy, but because you know that nothing can truly trap you unless you give it permission. You are no longer bound by blame or excuses. You are driven by clarity and action. You begin to move not out of fear, but out of purpose. And in that movement, you find your real strength. Pain is often seen as something to avoid, something to numb, something to escape. From an early age, we're taught to stay away from anything that hurts. Physical pain, emotional pain, mental struggle. We associate them all with something negative, something broken, something wrong. But what if pain wasn't just a sign of suffering? What if it was also a signal, a compass, pointing you towards something that needs attention, healing, or change? Pain doesn't come into your life by accident. It's not random. It arrives with a message. Something is out of alignment. Something is being ignored. Something inside you is calling out. And if you listen closely, not reactively, not defensively, but honestly, you'll realize that pain is often the first sign of awakening. It's uncomfortable, yes, it can shake you to the core, but beneath that discomfort is truth. And truth is the only ground on which something new can be built. Most people resist pain. They push it down, distract themselves, cover it with entertainment, with substances, with busyness. But the pain doesn't go away. It waits, it settles deeper, and over time it doesn't just hurt. It starts to define you. You become afraid of being still, afraid of being alone with yourself, because in silence the pain becomes louder. But that pain is not your enemy. It's a messenger, and the longer you avoid it, the louder it has to scream. When something hurts, deeply hurts, it means there's something within you that's alive, something that matters. You don't feel pain over things you're indifferent to. So when you suffer, when you're grieving, when you're frustrated, when you're angry, it's a clue. It's pointing to something you value, something you desire, or something you've lost. Pain, in this way, is incredibly honest. It won't let you lie to yourself for too long. It won't let you stay in denial without consequence. Sometimes the pain is rooted in past wounds. Sometimes it's the ache of unlived potential. Sometimes it's the weight of choices made in fear, but whatever its source, it offers direction. It asks you to look, to examine, to confront, and in that confrontation you begin to gain clarity. You see what needs to change. You understand what needs to be let go. You recognize what needs to be pursued. Pain, when respected, becomes guidance. It sharpens your awareness, it humbles you. It breaks down the walls of pride and illusion. It strips away the masks, and in that raw space you get to meet yourself without filters. You learn what really matters to you, not what you say matters, but what your heart actually aches for. That kind of self-knowledge doesn't come from pleasure. It comes from sitting with discomfort and letting it teach you. Using pain as a compass doesn't mean glorifying suffering. It doesn't mean seeking hardship for its own sake. It means choosing not to waste it. If you're going to suffer, let it shape you. Let it inform your path. Let it refine your values. Let it strengthen your character. Some of the most powerful decisions you will ever make will be born from pain, not because you wanted them, but because you had to grow through them. Pain also strips away the unnecessary. It teaches you who you really are when things fall apart. It shows you what's real and what's just decoration. When you're in pain, you don't pretend. You don't tolerate fake friendships. You don't care about shallow praise. You seek depth. You seek truth, and often that truth leads you to a different life, a more honest one, a more grounded one. Everyone goes through pain, but not everyone grows through it. The difference is how you use it. You can let it crush you, define you, or close you off, or you can let it clarify you, discipline you, and redirect you. Pain is not your sentence, it is your teacher. It is your compass. You just have to stop running long enough to listen. Most people wait. They wait for motivation, for a burst of inspiration, for the perfect moment when they finally feel ready. But that feeling rarely comes, and even when it does, it doesn't stay. Motivation is unpredictable. It rises and fades like the tide. If you build your life around it, you will be unstable, reactive, and easily defeated. You'll start and stop 1,000 times. You'll make promises to yourself and break them the moment your mood shifts. This is why discipline must lead the way, not motivation. Discipline is what remains when the feeling is gone. It is the decision to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. It doesn't depend on energy, inspiration, or the approval of others. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, it's steady. It's the alarm clock ringing before sunrise. It's the repeated action that no one sees. It's doing the hard thing again and again until it becomes part of you. When you rely on motivation, your progress becomes conditional. You only move when you feel like it. You only try when it's convenient, but life doesn't reward convenience. Growth happens in the places where resistance lives, and you won't push through that resistance if you're always checking in with your feelings. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is a decision you make regardless of how you feel. The truth is, you'll rarely feel ready. You'll rarely feel strong, confident, or inspired enough to do the difficult thing. So, if you're waiting for the perfect moment, you'll wait forever. But if you train yourself to act despite discomfort, to move forward without needing permission from your emotions, you'll begin to see a different kind of strength take root. A quiet internal power. That's what discipline builds, not hype, but consistency, not speed, but momentum. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about keeping your word to yourself. It's about alignment between your goals and your actions. When you say, I want to grow, and then you get up and train, study, create, or practice, even when it's hard, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to respect yourself. That self-respect fuels confidence, and that confidence fuels more discipline. It becomes a cycle that strengthens you from the inside out. People often ask, how do I stay motivated? The answer is simple, you don't. You stay *disciplined. You develop systems, habits, and standards that carry you when your energy doesn't. You decide what kind of person you want to become, and then you show up like that person, especially on the days when it's the hardest to do so. That's where growth happens, not in the bursts of inspiration, but in the quiet moments where you choose effort over ease. Think of an athlete, a monk, a craftsman, a leader. None of these paths are built on constant motivation. They are built on discipline, on repetition, on choosing long-term purpose over short-term comfort. They understand something that many people miss. It's not about doing what you feel like doing. It's about doing what's required. When discipline becomes part of your identity, everything changes. You stop negotiating with your laziness. You stop making excuses. You don't need to hype yourself up every morning. You just do the work. It becomes automatic, like breathing, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are now. Discipline also brings freedom. It may seem like a restriction at first, like you're forcing yourself to do things, but over time it liberates you. It gives you control over your life, your direction, your mind. You're no longer a slave to mood swings, outside distractions, or impulses. You move with purpose, with clarity, with intention, and that's the difference. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you moving. Discipline is what you fall back on when motivation disappears. It's the muscle you build with every difficult choice, every early morning, every uncomfortable repetition. It's not glamorous. It's not always rewarding in the moment, but over time it becomes the foundation of everything meaningful you create. In the noise of everyday life, it's easy to lose touch with what's truly going on inside. We fill our days with distractions, constant chatter, screens, to-do lists, errands, obligations, anything to avoid being alone with ourselves. Silence then becomes uncomfortable, even frightening. We fear what might surface if we stop running, if we stop reacting, if we simply sit in stillness. But silence is not emptiness. It is a powerful space where truth speaks loudly, where clarity is born, and where the hidden parts of your life begin to reveal themselves. When you create room for silence, you create room for awareness. In the quiet, the layers you've built up, defenses, excuses, justifications, begin to peel away, the distractions fall away, the noise that once masked your true feelings and desires fades, and what remains is raw, unfiltered reality. It's not always comfortable. It can be confronting to face your fears, your doubts, and the parts of yourself you've ignored, but it is necessary, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. Silence has a way of cutting through illusion. When you're busy, you're often operating on autopilot, following habits and patterns without questioning them. You live from reaction rather than intention. But when you stop and listen, you begin to hear the messages your life has been sending all along, messages buried beneath surface distractions. Maybe it's dissatisfaction with a job, a relationship, or a habit. Maybe it's a longing you've pushed down, a dream you've forgotten. Maybe it's a quiet voice telling you that you're not living in alignment with your values. In silence, you become your own witness. You watch your thoughts come and go. You observe your emotions without judgment. You start to understand the patterns that shape your behavior, the fears that limit you, the beliefs that hold you back. This kind of self-awareness is the foundation of growth. Without it, you are lost in reaction, lost in the crowd, lost in the roles you play for others. Many avoid silence because it forces accountability. When you're alone with yourself, there's no one to blame for your choices but you. There's no distraction to hide behind, and that can feel vulnerable. But vulnerability is the gateway to authenticity. It's the path to living a life that is truly yours, not one shaped by external expectations or old stories. Silence also allows you to connect with something deeper, a sense of presence beyond the mind's constant chatter. In this stillness you may find peace, you may find strength, you may find the wisdom that's always been inside you but drowned out by noise. This wisdom doesn't come from outside, it comes from listening deeply to your own experience, your own body, your own heart. In the silence, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You become more attuned to what brings you joy and what drains you. You recognize the small moments that align with your purpose and those that don't. You learn to trust your intuition, the quiet knowing that guides you when logic falls short. This trust is a compass. It steers you toward choices that feel right, even when they are difficult. Creating silence isn't about withdrawing from life or becoming passive. It's about creating space to respond rather than react, to act with clarity rather than confusion. It's about cultivating a mind that is calm enough to see the truth clearly and brave enough to face it honestly. This clarity brings freedom, freedom from confusion, from self-doubt, from the endless noise of opinions and distractions. Silence invites patience. It teaches you that answers don't always come quickly. Sometimes you must sit with the questions, let them settle, and allow understanding to emerge naturally. This process can feel slow, but it is deep, it is lasting, it builds resilience, it builds a relationship with yourself that is based on trust and respect, rather than avoidance or denial. In silence, you discover that life is speaking to you all the time. Your body, your emotions, your thoughts, they are all part of the conversation. When you listen, you hear what has been hidden beneath the noise. And when you hear it, you can begin to make changes that are not superficial fixes, but transformations rooted in truth. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of insight. It is the space where you meet yourself without masks or distractions. It is the place where your life, in all its complexity, finally becomes clear enough to understand and powerful enough to change. Rebuilding your life is not a one-time event, a single moment of decision, or a grand, dramatic change that fixes everything overnight. It's a daily commitment, a process that requires showing up consistently, facing challenges repeatedly, and choosing to move forward even when progress feels slow or invisible. The truth is, life breaks down in layers over time, and so does rebuilding. It's not about tearing everything down and starting from scratch just once. It's about the small, intentional steps you take every day to shape a better version of yourself and your reality. When you decide to rebuild, you're stepping into a lifelong journey. Some days will feel like leaps forward, and others will feel like steps backward or even standing still. That's part of the process. Rebuilding is messy. It's full of uncertainty, discomfort, and setbacks. But if you show up every day, if you make the choice to keep working on yourself, your mindset, your habits, you create momentum that compounds over time. That momentum becomes the foundation for lasting change. Daily rebuilding means taking responsibility for the small things. It's not only about the big decisions or major life shifts, but also about the tiny actions you choose repeatedly, how you treat yourself when no one is watching, how you respond to stress, failure, or disappointment, how you manage your thoughts and emotions. These daily moments matter more than you might realize because they shape your identity and your future. Consistency is the silent hero of rebuilding. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be persistent. You don't need to overhaul everything all at once. That often leads to burnout and discouragement. Instead, focus on what you can do today that aligns with the life you want to build. It might be as simple as setting boundaries, practicing gratitude, choosing healthier habits, or learning something new. These small actions accumulate and create shifts that feel monumental when you look back. Rebuilding every day also requires patience. Change isn't linear. Progress isn't always visible. Sometimes you plant seeds and don't see growth for weeks, months, or even years. But just because the results aren't immediate doesn't mean your efforts are wasted. The internal work you do, the mindset shifts, the self-awareness, the resilience are growing beneath the surface. They are quietly preparing you for what's ahead. One of the most important parts of daily rebuilding is learning to embrace failure and setbacks as part of the journey. No one rebuilds without stumbling. No one creates lasting change without moments of doubt, frustration, or temptation to give up. When you understand this, you stop seeing failure as a sign that you're broken or incapable. Instead, you see it as information, a guide to what you need to adjust, learn, or approach differently. This mindset keeps you moving forward instead of retreating. Rebuilding every day also means being flexible and adaptable. Life will throw unexpected challenges your way. Plans will change. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will shift. If you cling rigidly to a specific outcome or timeline, you risk losing hope. But if you allow yourself to adjust and evolve, you stay aligned with your deeper goals even as the surface changes. This adaptability is a strength that comes from committing to the process rather than just the destination. Another key to daily rebuilding is cultivating a mindset of growth and curiosity. Instead of seeing yourself as fixed or stuck, you begin to see yourself as a work in progress. Every day is an opportunity to learn, to improve, to stretch beyond your comfort zone. This perspective helps you stay engaged, motivated, and hopeful, even when the path feels long or unclear. Rebuilding also involves nurturing your support system. No one does this alone. You need people who encourage you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. Sometimes that support comes from friends, family, mentors, or communities that share your values. Other times, it comes from the quiet self-talk that reminds you to keep going when no one else is around. Either way, investing in relationships that foster growth and resilience strengthens your ability to rebuild daily. Finally, daily rebuilding is an act of faith in yourself and in the future you're creating. It's believing that no matter what happened before, no matter how broken or lost you might feel right now, you have the power to shape what comes next. This belief fuels your actions. It gives you the courage to face discomfort and uncertainty. It reminds you that every day is a new chance to rebuild, to renew, and to reclaim your life. Rebuilding isn't a single moment of transformation. It's a lifelong commitment to showing up, learning, adapting, and growing, one day at a time. You are both the sculptor and the stone. This simple truth holds immense power because it means your transformation is entirely self-made and self-earned. There is no external force shaping you, no magical hand carving your future without your consent or participation. You are the creator and the creation, the artist and the raw material. This dual role demands a level of responsibility and courage that many shy away from, but it's also the key to authentic growth and freedom. Being both sculptor and stone means you hold the tools to shape your life, but you also bear the weight of the process. It's not easy. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to confront your own flaws and limitations head on. The stone doesn't shape itself. The sculptor must chip away carefully, sometimes painfully, to reveal the form within. Likewise, your inner transformation demands deliberate effort. You must be willing to face discomfort, to question long-held beliefs, to break old patterns that no longer serve you. This metaphor reminds us that transformation isn't something that happens to you. It's something you actively do. You don't wait for change to arrive like a visitor or a miracle. You initiate it, you plan it, you execute it day after day, choice after choice. Each small action is a strike of the chisel. Each moment of self-awareness is a clearing away of debris. Over time, these efforts accumulate, revealing a clearer, stronger, more defined version of yourself. Being the sculptor also means embracing imperfection. The stone is raw, uneven, and unpredictable. It doesn't always respond the way you expect. Sometimes your vision shifts mid-process. Sometimes you make mistakes or lose confidence. The process is not linear or perfect, but that's part of the beauty. The rough edges, the unexpected curves, they give your transformation depth and authenticity. They remind you that growth is messy, unpredictable, and uniquely yours. As the stone, you must also learn to be patient and resilient. Transformation takes time. It can't be rushed. The chisel strikes don't instantly create a masterpiece. Sometimes the stone feels resistant, stubborn, or too heavy to shape. You might want to give up, to abandon the project altogether. But every mark, every crack, every fragment removed is part of the journey. It's a sign that change is happening beneath the surface, even if you don't see it yet. This dual role teaches self-reliance. You can seek guidance, inspiration, and support from others, but ultimately, you are responsible for your own growth. No one else can carve your life for you. No one else can make the tough decisions or face the hard truths inside. This realization can be daunting, but it's also incredibly empowering. It means your destiny is not fixed or predetermined. It means you have the power to reshape your identity, your habits, your relationships, and your future. Transformation also requires vision. The sculptor doesn't randomly chip away without direction. There is an image, a purpose, a goal in mind, whether fully formed or emerging along the way. You must cultivate a clear sense of what you want to become. What qualities do you want to embody? What kind of life do you want to live? What legacy do you want to leave? Without vision, your efforts can become scattered or aimless. With vision, every strike of the chisel moves you closer to your desired shape. Being both the sculptor and the stone means accepting that you are a work in progress. You will never be finished. There will always be areas to refine, shadows to illuminate, habits to reshape. This is not a limitation, but a liberating truth. It means you are constantly evolving, learning, and expanding. It means your life is not a static sculpture, but a dynamic masterpiece in motion. This understanding calls for a deep kind of self-compassion. You must treat yourself kindly through the inevitable struggles and setbacks. The stone doesn't judge the sculptor, and the sculptor must learn not to judge the stone harshly. Both roles require patience, gentleness, and a commitment to keep working, even when progress feels slow or invisible. Ultimately, the power of being both sculptor and stone lies in the unity it creates between effort and acceptance, action and surrender, creation and receptivity. You are the force that drives transformation, and you are also the material that is being transformed. This balance is where true growth happens, not by denying one role or the other, but by embracing both fully. You have within you everything needed to shape your life. The chisel is in your hands, the stone is within you, and the vision is yours to define. The journey of transformation is yours to make, and the masterpiece that emerges is yours to own. To wake up and rebuild your life is to embrace a profound journey, a daily commitment to awareness, responsibility, and disciplined action. It means stepping out of the comfort that confines you, facing your pain as a guide rather than a barrier, and choosing to listen deeply in the silence where your true self reveals its needs and truths. It is recognizing that motivation alone is fleeting, and real transformation is forged through persistent discipline and unwavering patience. You are both the sculptor and the stone, the creator and the creation, responsible for every chisel strike that shapes your future. This path is neither quick nor easy, but it is entirely within your power. Each day offers a new chance to rebuild, renew, and reclaim the life you are meant to live, one intentional choice at a time. So wake up, stand firm, and begin again. Your masterpiece awaits.